Welcome back to the True Blue Riffcast. I am Jeremy, and I'm joined, as always, by...
Hi, I'm Dave, and I'm joined, as always, by...
Me, Jeremy. Hey, Dave.
Yes.
Did you know that we now have a website?
We do? On the internet?
On the
internet. I could say interweb like a jerk, but I'll say internet because I dislike interweb now.
Yes, all you have to do is head on over to trueblueriffcast.com, and it'll send you through the series of tubes that is the internet, and you will end up on a website where you can check out our podcast. We've got links to all the different platforms that we are currently available on, which is 13 right now. So pretty much anything you use to listen to a podcast will be on it.
What made you decide to go with .com? I mean, it seems like a pretty obvious choice. You could have gone very, if this were like 2005 or 2003, you could have been ironic and gone with .info. Or
.com was cheaper.
.com is really cheaper than those really stupid old ones. What about, have you seen, like, there's like a billion of them now.
There's like .coach. And
or like
whatever. Like, but there wasn't
peace.space.
Yeah. There was not a .podcast, or I would have gone with that one.
Really?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised, honestly.
.pod.
Yep, that wasn't there.
.riff.
Nope.
No .riff.
No .riff.
Should do something about that.
Anyway. That would be interesting. Rifftracks.riff.
Rifftracks.riff.
Tracks.riff. Yeah.
Anyway, so how are you?
I am better than I was. I just recently passed a kidney stone. Hooray.
Oh, that's not disgusting.
No. That was not a fun weekend. We'll put it that way.
I can imagine not.
Not a good day at work on Friday either, but
yeah, I can imagine. That's like I passed a kidney stone when I was 19. Don't ask me how that happened, but I did, and it was quite painful. But it was like once I was just like standing there in like the restroom, right? Then all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Then tink.
Yeah, no, I started passing them when I was 16, and I've been passing them ever since. I think I'm up to, I don't know, I got to be in the high 30s by now at least.
Oh, well,
over a lifetime. More than that, you think? More than that? My wife says more than that.
Your wife says lots of stuff to you that I can't hear.
Well, she's just kind of nodding her head. She's not actually saying it out loud, so.
Oh, for once?
Yeah. Wait, I mean, no, Dave.
I got you.
Yeah, so how about you? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I got pretend beat up by a couple of guys yesterday at the wrestling shows. It was a lot of fun.
So you lost again?
I have not lost one time. I am still technically undefeated. I just got beat up. And dragged out of the arena by a shirtless fat man yesterday. That's not losing.
So you're not a jobber?
No, I'm not a jobber. I'm being set. We're setting me up to be an underdog to come back and beat the odds and other bullcrap.
Spoilers.
Yeah. You can see it coming, okay?
Not exactly what you should call high art.
It's very high art. It's just that, it's kind of, it's like the movie. You kind of do have a general idea of like kind of like how the stories are going to end in general. Yeah. So.
Yeah. My brain stopped. Yeah. So let's just move on to headlines.
Headlines.
Not really a whole lot the way of headlines that I could find, really. Nothing that was interesting, except for the upcoming release of, and I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, the Velocipaster.
For God's sake. Riff Tracks, don't do this. Don't do this to us, please.
Here's the little blurb about the movie. After losing his parents, a priest travels to China, where he inherits the mysterious ability that allows him to turn into a dinosaur.
Right.
At first horrified by this new power, A hooker convinces him to use it to fight crime.
Okay.
And ninjas.
So we can safely say that he's against the ninja.
Yes.
Okay.
Looking at this weekend's box office take, the new film Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Why?
Made a lot of money. It just opened on the 2nd here stateside, and it is already at $180 million worldwide. 60 million of that was domestic. So pretty good weekend for that film.
Paul Walker is spitting in his grave.
Followed closely by the quote live action remake of The Lion King. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Toy Story 4. That's the rest of your top 5. So that's it. That's all we have for headlines. So now let's move on into shorts.
Yes!
For today's short reviews of Riff Track Shorts, we're going to be taking a look at Tommy's Day, released on March 27th, 2019.
Wow, a recent one.
Yes, a recent one. Oh, hi, Loose Tooth. This is a story about Tommy and his sister Peggy. Tommy wakes up after his sister holds his nose closed until he can't breathe. You know, the wonderful, loving way that sisters wake up their brothers. When he is startled awake, he notices that he has a loose tooth. He shows his sister, who is immediately jealous.
Wait, what?
Then we get to see Tommy going about his day and how excited every other person in this short is about his loose tooth. We get to learn about brushing our teeth, eating good breakfasts, and then the teacher at school has some visual aids prepared to teach the kids about their first teeth and their permanent teeth. Here's a little fun fact for you. When I first saw the illustration that they had, I thought it said peppermint teeth and not permanent teeth. We get some more pointers on taking care of your teeth and some other general health tips. Later that night, after 3 hours of hide and seek, Tommy's dad tells him to push his tooth out. And so he does. And then the short ends.
Who do you think we are, millionaires? That's what this sounds like.
Yeah. Just push your tooth out, kid. Come on. We're wasting time.
It's only a part of your head.
Overall, Tommy's Day isn't really anything special. It's not really wacky or goofy, and it's not even particularly terrible. But what's great about this one is the riffs.
Oh,
there are some great riffs in this one. We get a mumbledy-peg joke, an amazing line about Julius and Ethel Rosenberg that forced me to pause the short because I was laughing so hard. If you don't understand that one, folks, please look it up, and you will understand why I laughed as hard as I did. For my initial viewing, because I only watched this twice so far, Tommy's Day gets 4 Peggy's pretending to brush their teeth out of 5. There's a reason she was jealous for this one, Dave, because I heard your confusion. It's because she's the younger sister, and so, of course, older brother, he gets a loose tooth first, and she wants to have a loose tooth, and it's just a, younger sibling thing. I'm sure you know all about that.
Kids are stupid.
Well, there's that, too. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, it's a good short. It's not anything really, like I said, it's not anything really crazy, but the riffs are extremely funny.
So this was a Mike, Kevin, Bill joint?
Yes. And the Julius and Ethel Rosenberg thing, oh my God, it took me by surprise so much because that's not what you expect in a short about loose teeth. So we move on now from the shorts to the not so shorts, and we're going to be taking a look first at the newest Riff Tracks release, which is
the Million Eyes of Sumuru.
Yeah, the movie that The Girl from Rio was a sequel to.
Yeah, this is so weird because this is the second time this is kind of happened.
Yeah.
It's the second time in a row for Mike, Kevin, Bill riffs that they've gone back and they've riffed an original of a sequel that they have previously done. Now, the case of Kill or Be Killed, they did Kill and Kill Again back in 2017, 2 years ago. And but Girl from Rio's 2019 release, I believe, was in February.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and I know, like, the first thing a lot of people asked in True Blue when I posted that, oh, hey, look, it's a new release day, and we have Million Eyes of Sumuru, or Samaru, whatever.
Subaru.
Subaru. Oddly, there are no Subaru jokes in this riff.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised. Which actually is kind of a good thing. But one of the first questions I was asked is, like, does this make the Girl of Rio make any sense? And the answer is no. Of course it doesn't.
Why would you expect that?
Yes. In fact, it's almost completely removed. I would have to go back. I mean, I suppose I could watch A Girl from Rio again, but why would I want to do that? I mean, I own it, so I might as well. I'll put that on my watch list for tonight. See if it does make any sense. But yeah, it's definitely a very weird thing, kind of like this reverse order that they go in, which is an interesting choice, especially when you consider that these are like less than 6 months apart.
Yeah, it's at least the other one with Kill or Be Killed and Kill and Kill Again, they were a little bit farther removed from each other.
Can you imagine doing Oblivion Backlash and Oblivion in like that? Because no. I can, and I'm already enraged.
Well, you didn't like those to begin with. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got nothing to do with with yours. Just now, like, oh no, I'm thinking about Oblivion. Those movies are terrible.
You've got nobody to blame for that but yourself, Dave.
I sure don't. No. But anyway, have you had a chance to watch it, Jeremy?
No, I have not. In between the blinding pain and the other activity for yesterday, which we'll talk about after this one, I did not really get a lot of time for that. No.
Okay. Well, how do I put this? You know how it's so hard to put into words. Okay, I suppose I could put it this way. Do you remember from one of our favorite recent riffs, Zombie, aka I Eat Your Skin? We talk about that. We have talked about that riff frequently on this podcast, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, one of the principal aspects or principal elements of Zombie, aka I Eat Your Skin, is that the protagonist is a total unlikable horn dog, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the Million Eyes of Sumuru has two male protagonists. One of them played by freaking Frankie Avalon, and these two dudes make our horn dogs to the level that, you know, you might want to sympathize with the horn dog D-bag from Zombie, aka I Eat Your Skin. It pales in comparison. The way that, yeah, no, these two guys are trying to sleep and are frankly quite successful with. I mean, they have a good track record of sleeping with as many women as they can in this movie.
Huh.
It's also, if you ever wanted to hate Frankie Avalon, if you had a burning desire, it's like, you know, Frankie Avalon, he's this, you know, great pop culture icon. I really want to hate him a lot. Guess what? But this is the movie for you. Because, wow. Okay, so there's this woman named Sumuru who has a army of highly trained, sexy female assassins, and their goal is to go around and kill as many male world leaders as they can, and then like take up all their power. Fortunately for us, they limit their targets to the leaders of nations that don't exist, that they make up. So yeah, and one of these leaders that they attempt to assassinate in this movie is Klaus Kinski, and he is the white American or British or whatever it is they're trying to do in the movie with him, of an Asian nation somewhere in the Pacific Rim in the vicinity of Hong Kong and Singapore. Yeah, but all these and like the entire nation, like the entire populace is Asian, but they elected a white guy from like America or Europe or some damn place.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
Nope, none. And I mean, like, it's not even like, wait, what? That's stupid. And you know, if you'd ask me, does the Million Eyes of Sumuru does the plot make sense?
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Does the plot of the Million Eyes of Sumuru make any sense?
Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. But the thing is, and this is kind of where I have to give the movie some credit, is that it's done by American International. Okay. So it's actually watchable.
Huh.
Okay. Is it a bad movie? Yeah, but it's really more stupid. It's really more stupid than bad. The plot makes no sense, but does it really have to? I mean, you can sit down and you can watch it. It's not like Robin Paris, who played Michelle in The Room. She says that The Room is just barely watchable. Like, you can watch it and like you're not really compelled to like turn it off because it's like technically bad and whatever and stuff like that. But it's still like, it's kind of like a level like above The Room, American International, and like all the movies that they do. So it's technically sound, okay, and but you know, it's just lame and dumb, and it's actually a comedy, honest. There's this old rule going back to the MST3K days. It's like where they try not to riff comedies. Yeah. But I think they've like been throwing that to the wind recently. I mean, especially with this movie, because this movie tries to be funny and fails so many times. But the riffs in it are excellent always. I had a lot of fun watching it. I'm gonna watch The Girl from Rio after we record this. I mean, after we're done recording, and see if watching Girl from Rio after watching that makes Girl from Rio make more sense. I don't think it's going to, just because I remember The Girl from Rio. It wasn't that long ago, but I'd give this one I'd give it a solid B+. Solid B+.
Cool. I'll definitely have to check it out probably this week sometime. Okay, we're gonna go to our movie voted on by our listener poll. And we kind of had an interesting situation this week. Our poll, for those of you who don't remember or didn't see it, was for Ghost House, Twilight, and the live show of Miami Connection. Now, I post this poll in 3 different places. I might have to change that because it's kind of hard to keep track of all 3. But the results were Roller Gator. That was last week. Yeah. Ghost House and Miami Connection live tied. They had the exact same number of votes. Twilight didn't have near as many, which I'm still surprised by. However, next week we're getting the VOD for the Star Raiders live show, and we've already discussed that on the podcast. That was like
twice. Yeah.
That was what the second episode that we did was. Star Raiders. And so we decided, rather than talk about that movie again, and rather than try and pick between the 2 movies that tied to talk about today, we're actually going to talk about both of those next week.
Woo!
So our 2 VODs for next week are going to be Ghost House and the live show version of Miami Connection.
Which is going to be, that's going to be one hell of a show.
Yeah. And we decided, because of this, that we were just going to do Twilight today.
Because we want to talk about all these movies. That's why we keep putting them up.
Yes. And you know what? We make the rules. There's
Your votes don't matter.
Yes. Though they do, but not in this instance. Our rules are as arbitrary as we want them to be, and so that's how we're playing it this time.
That's great.
We
ask and then we ignore our own results.
If Ghost House or Miami Connection would have won over the other, we would be talking about that one. But that's not what happened, so we're going to talk about the two of those in the same episode. That's going to be next week, so there's going to be no listener poll this week. And then after the next episode, we will have 3 fresh choices for everybody. And I think I'm going to limit it to 2 polls total. And then we're going to do one in the True Blue Riff Tracks fan group on Facebook, and then on our Twitter account at TBRiffcast on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So let's get right into today's discussion of Twilight.
Right. Now you actually watched it recently.
I watched it yesterday, yeah. Okay. And it was an interesting experience because, like I said, I've been passing a kidney stone this weekend. And
what a coincidence.
Yeah. So I had both physical and mental pain while I was watching Twilight, because it's Twilight. And I mean, if I was watching it unriffed, it would be even worse.
Why would you do such a thing, though?
I wouldn't. I never would do that. I wouldn't even attempt it. Like Manos, I've watched unriffed. The Room, I've watched unriffed. Ghost House, I've watched unriffed. A lot of these movies I've watched without the jokes. Birdemic is another one, way back when that initially came out.
I've tried to watch Birdemic without the riff. I can't do it. I can't. Yeah, it's just like, no, go away.
It's hard. It's much easier once you get to the actual Birdemic that happens. But up to that point, it is rough. But yeah, Twilight is not one that I would ever even consider watching unriffed. But hey, we don't have to because
that's why we have Riff Tracks.
Yeah, they did the whole shebang, all 5 movies.
And but today, I love them for it so much.
Yes.
I can't tell you how much joy Twilight Riff Tracks. Between Twilight Riff Tracks, Harry Potter, and Star Wars, I think like those 3 franchises, I think makes the entire MP3 era. I mean, it's worth it anyway, but it's just like if they had only done those 3, still so worth it.
I agree. Today, however, we are only going to be talking about the first movie in the series.
Boo!
So just straight up Twilight. There's too much, Dave. We can't do all 5 in one show. There's no way. So we're just going to talk about the movie from the book series that started it all. And when I say started it all, I mean it started Twilight and it started 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, gross.
But that's a different story altogether.
I'm so glad they didn't riff that.
Yeah.
Riff Tracks, if you're listening, thank you for not riffing 50 Shades of Grey.
Yes, that's another one definitely never to do. Which I don't think they would ever even attempt, just because of the subject matter. But so let's talk about everyone's favorite sparkly vampire and the blank-faced, open-mouthed teenage girl who is in love with him.
Blink, 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 blink.
For those of you who have been living in a cave, Twilight is a quote love story about a teenage girl who moves from Phoenix, Arizona up to Forks, Washington.
I can't believe they did not rename that town. They okay, look, Twilight, Stephanie Meyer. All right, I know you're listening out there. Okay, I know you are. If you're gonna do that, fictionalize the sound and give it the town and give it an interesting, cool name. Not Forks. I mean, come on, like. You could have done anything you wanted with a fictional town. and given it a cool name and just like put it in the location of Forks.
Could have even just done something dumb like Forksville or Forksburg.
Yeah.
At least that's better than just Forks.
Like, dude, or like, and it could have had a cool song like "Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg, race cars, lasers, aeroplanes."
Dave.
It's what? Stop what?
Stop.
You know what? Oh right, Twilight, not DuckTales.
Yeah,
okay.
Twilight, Dave. Let's try and keep this one on track. I know it's hard to talk about just actual Twilight by itself, but yeah, this movie is the whole story is just a bastardization of the mythos of the vampire.
Yeah, it's it kind of okay. Look, whether you like Twilight or not, okay, it's vampire canon now. It is. It is. It's the most significant piece of vampire literature of the early 21st century. It is like it cannot be removed from vampire lore. I mean, that's just how it is. Like I was like when it came out, I was upset about this as well. But I think that maybe the damage isn't as bad as we thought. I think at the time we were really, I think probably and justifiably worried about vampire lore because Twilight was just everywhere.
Yep.
And we're like, this is gonna wreck it forever. And I don't think we really had perspective in 2008. And be like, well, you know what? In the year 2019, Twilight's really not going to have a whole lot of pop culture awareness because the movies are going to be done and people are going to move on. And I think that a lot of the damage is going to be undone by when the next time that vampires cycle around into the pop culture consciousness, people are going to write away from Twilight.
I hope so. You know, it's funny that you say people have forgotten about Twilight because even some of the people who were in the movie had forgotten.
Oh, you mean Anna Kendrick? Yeah.
Yes.
That's so fun.
One of my favorite tweets of all time was Anna Kendrick saying that she forgot she was in Twilight.
Like, oh my gosh, I just remembered I was in Twilight.
It was amazing.
It's like, well, I mean, Pitch Perfect will do that to you. Just being in something that's fun and successful that's not Twilight will make you forget Twilight.
Now, thankfully, because of riff tracks, I can watch these movies without wanting to shove a pencil into my ear, even though I still kind of want to do that.
Can I make a confession? I have to.
Oh God, that. What, Dave?
I own the entire series of Twilight on DVD.
I bet when you went into the store to buy those,
I didn't care because I was like, I went in and I bought it the day it came because the riff tracks in 2013 when Breaking Dawn 2 came out on DVD. That's when they released it that day.
Did you buy the whole series at once or did you buy them piecemeal?
No, I bought them. I bought them one at a time because.
Okay, because I can just picture.
I bought them as they came out for riff tracks.
I can just picture you walking up to the counter on the day that Breaking Dawn Part 2 came out with all 5 films in hand.
I already had BD1. Okay. And I might have to replace it soon because I've used it so much. I've watched it so much because Breaking Dawn 1 is actually tied with House on Haunted Hill for my favorite riff tracks. That's not even a joke. But anyway, I actually all of Twilight, and I'm not ashamed.
Well, it's not Twilight itself that you love, though.
Yeah, I love riff tracks, but hey, look, you can't separate the two, okay? It's one thing.
Right, but I mean, it's not
love
like
one without the other.
It's not like you're just going to watch Twilight by itself.
Oh, why the hell would I do that?
Yes,
That's
exactly.
dumb.
I actually was talking to somebody the other day, and one of our listeners, and she admitted to me that because of watching the Twilight riffs, she's watched them so many times that she actually started like understanding the whole plot of all of the movies and like actually wanting to get it more, and so she went out and bought the books.
I have a book. Well, I mean, I have one of the books. I actually tried to read the first one.
Was it better or worse than trying to read Ready Player One?
Dude, honestly, Ready Player One is worse. Look, Twilight's just boring. Okay, Ready Player One is offensive.
Ah, yes, it is. And I somehow read the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know why you did that. Oh, I know why.
Yeah, because
Connor and Mike told you to.
Yes. And then I read the other book, Armada, which was even worse.
How could it get worse than Ready Player One? Is that possible?
It was worse. There's like a whole... there's a whole scene in there that's just like in Ready Player One, where it's literally just a list of like things that goes on for like a page and a half. What I want to do is I want to go to a convention that Will Wheaton is appearing at
and punch him in the face.
I want to go to his panel, and I want to be one of the people that asks a question, and I want to ask him honestly how it felt. Because he did the audiobook. I want to ask him honestly how it felt to sit there or stand there in the recording studio and have to read off the page and a half of things, of video games and whatnot from Ready Player One, and the 3.5 paragraphs about the dude's, how should I put this? Self-pleasuring. Yeah, so you didn't even get anywhere near that in the book, Dave.
No, I'm quite glad that I didn't.
Yes,
but yeah,
because that's a thing that I will never be able to unread, ever.
I wonder if what's the in Ready Player One? What's the Matrix called? Like their version of the Matrix?
The Oasis.
The Oasis, that's right. Is there? Do you think they have like a Twilight chat room in there?
They might have a vampire planet, because everything was planets.
Oh, it was. Oh.
Yeah, and so they might have like a vampire planet, and part of that is probably sparkly vampires.
So IOI is. I don't even remember what IOI does, honestly.
They're the other guys. They're trying to take over. But Twilight. Let's get back to Twilight. This is... See, it's even hard just to talk about Twilight without diverting. I think it's just a built-in self-defense mechanism in my brain.
Well, the thing is, I know so much about Twilight because of riff tracks. It's I remember one time my brother actually told me that. And I said this unironically back to him. He said, "You know more about Twilight than any woman I know." And then I said, "Yeah, because it's awesome." You know?
The words that you would never expect to hear come out of certain people's mouths.
I said that in 2012. I never thought I would have said that in 2008.
Twilight's awesome.
It is awesome. It's the best thing ever.
The best gag throughout all 5 films. Not just in Twilight. There's a lot of silences in these movies where people are just kind of sitting there and looking at each other with their mouths just slightly open.
Line.
I mean, they can get in a good 5 or 6 of those in between the camera cuts before anybody talks.
Like, does anybody have a line? I believe that was in part 5.
Yeah.
No, part 4.
On a very regular basis, this happens. And it's one of my favorite gags ever in riff tracks. Just because
It's so legendary, and the thing is, it's like it's not because the MP3. It's been a long time since they've done Twilight, and the line gag used to be like you'd go through it from like 2013, from whenever it started through 2013, a little bit after it. The line gag would be something that would be a common callback, but they haven't done it in years. And I kind of miss that. I kind of wish they would bring that back around.
Well, maybe we'll be able to get it in the future MP3 release of either Street Fighter or Star Wars Episode 9.
Is Street Fighter going to be an MP3?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's cool. I can dig it because I own it on Amazon.
I own it on DVD.
I actually like that movie. But anyway, let's not talk about Street Fighter.
Let's go back to Twilight.
Yeah. The story. Okay, so she moves to Forks. We brought that up like half an hour ago.
Yeah, we did kind of start talking about that, didn't we?
Yeah. She moves to Forks, and she goes to high school, and she is blah, blah, blahing. And she falls in love with this guy because he sat down next to her. And
he started gagging and ran off.
Yeah. Be like, oh, he's so hot, right? And then he saves her from a car accident. And then be like, oh, hey, guess what? I'm a vampire. And we like turn to stone and shit.
Okay, you were good up until he saves her from a car crash. That was like your cutoff point there.
That happens.
I know, and I hate that I know this story so well, but they go from there, and her friends all invite her to this beach to go surfing, Le Push, and Edward, the sparkly vampire boy, won't go, and it turns out because that's where Jacob and his werewolf people live, that we don't actually find out that they're werewolves until the next movie, but that is important because Jacob tells the old legend of the Cullens and them, and how they had this supposedly had this fight way back in the day. And she goes home and she starts looking up, she gets a book about legends from the area, and she puts it together that he's a vampire. And after she says it to him, and he has to try and show her what he is by finding a patch of sunbeams coming down from the sky, he gives her a piggyback ride, and it's probably my favorite moment from the first Twilight movie. Yes.
Where he turns into the Flash.
Bill doing yakety sax while Edward is running with Bella on his back. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
How is that any different from what I said?
He doesn't turn to stone, Dave.
Isn't their skin's made of stone. That's part of the Twilight lore.
But he doesn't turn to stone. It's not like a troll going out in the sun during the daytime, Dave, where he turns into a stone.
That's not what I meant. Are we going to have this argument, really? This Twilight argument?
No, because I really don't care.
Okay.
You know why? Because
sounds to me like
Twilight.
You do. Okay.
No, I don't. I just got to be disagreeable sometimes.
Okay. Anyway, and so then other vampires come, right? And it'd be like, oh no, we want Bella. She's like a hot piece of real estate. Right?
That was during the thunderstorm baseball game.
Yeah. Which what? Why?
Yeah, that was a really interesting direction for them to go.
That's not something they approve of at BYU, Stephanie Meyer.
Vampires play baseball?
Yeah.
It's their favorite pastime now? Like,
apparently. They learned it during the Civil War when they was fighting for slavery. One of them was a Confederate officer.
Yep.
That's a thing.
Look it up.
There's a wiki.
Of course there is. There's a wiki for everything, Dave.
Anyway, so the bad vampires come and try to take Bella, and Edward gets all pissy and like, "No, you can't have her." And so they do battle, and then they go to the prom, and everything's great.
They have a dance off. No, they fight at a dance studio. That's what it is.
They saunter towards each other. They saunter. They sauntered. That's from the book.
They sauntered.
Yeah, they saunter towards each other. That's what that's the word that she used.
Stephanie.
Anyway, so yeah,
Twilight.
I mean, so yeah, there's Twilight. I mean, I think the most important question on everybody's mind is that let's take the falling in love with babies out of the question for now. And are you Team Edward or Team Jacob?
I am Team Buffy, the Vampire Slayer.
See, here's my thing. Is like I'm Team Harry Potter.
Well, hey, now that would put you on Team Edward then.
No, because he's dead in that universe. I always had this theory, right? That oh god, I can't believe I'm saying this. I always had this theory that Harry Potter and Twilight take place in the same universe, and that Cedric and Edward, Chalkface and Cedric Diggory are somehow related. Okay, prove to me I'm wrong. You can't. So it's canon. And,
well, I mean, if there's vampires and werewolves, and there are werewolves in Harry Potter, so I mean,
what would you give the Twilight riff?
The Twilight riff, I have to give an A to.
Yeah. Would you call it an essential?
Yes, I would call all 5 of them an essential, but we'll talk about the others more at a later time. But definitely an essential in anybody's library. Unfortunately, at this point, because Twilight is no longer on Hulu or Amazon Prime or Netflix currently, you kind of have to own it.
Yeah, which I do.
Which you do, and yeah. I do not. Well, no, I do take that back because I had to buy it on Amazon.
Yeah.
I was gonna rent it, and I'm like, no, I'll just buy it. That way, I'll have it so I can watch it again. But I'll probably get discs of the rest of them because I'm sure I'll be able to get them cheaper.
Yep.
But that's Twilight.
That's Twilight, yeah.
The loser of our listener poll this week.
So I will definitely be talking more about Twilight. We haven't even gotten to all the super fun stuff yet.
Yeah.
Like, I think Twilight itself, does he be getting all excited now that we're moving past? The first one, the original, I feel is actually the weakest of, I mean, not the riff, but like the story itself, Twilight, the original, is actually the weakest of the entire series.
It's all set up, so.
Yeah. But you wait, like the real fun stuff with the werewolves and the Volturi and all that other dumb horseshit, that starts in New Moon.
Yeah.
And that just like that's where like the world just kind of like opens up, and you get to see the richness and the deepness of how stupid this thing is, and it's very intertwined and very intricate. And very, 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 very stupid. And it's so much fun. And I just can't wait to talk about those. So, yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about New Moon, Eclipse, and, of course, Breaking Dawn, Parts 1 and 2.
Yes. And we will try not to make it an extremely long time before we get to that, because now that I've watched the first one again, I really want to watch the others. So, well, we'll have to be talking about those soon. Don't forget, this Friday, August 9th, is the release of the VOD for the Star Raiders live show.
Guys, if you contributed to the Kickstarter at, like, I don't know what level it is, but if you contributed to the Kickstarter, refresh your refresh your rewards page manually. Now, here's how you do that. What you want to do is you want to go to sign into your RiffTrax account, okay? Go to rifftrax.com/Kickstarter 2019 and hit enter, okay? That will refresh your Kickstarter rewards for this past cycle, and that will make Star Raiders, if you have it, that will make it populate in your library.
Yeah, that's a good one, as we've discussed previously.
Yes, as we've discussed.
And then next Thursday, August 15th, is the live Giant Spider Invasion.
Woo! And it's going to be the finale of the RiffTrax live season.
Unfortunately,
yes.
For those of you who actually get to watch it and aren't dealing with one of the many theater chains who screwed up this year, Goodrich. So if you do have to miss it in theaters, it will be available sometime probably early October. It's usually 60 days from when it airs in theaters. So I'm Jeremy. You can reach me now by email, jeremy@trueblueriffcast.com. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at PB&Awesome. And, of course, you can follow the podcast at TBRiffcast on Twitter.
Right, and I'm Dave. You can check me out on the web at sugarraydodge.com. Check me out on Facebook at Sugar Ray Dodge, or do a Google search for Charlie B. That's my that's my pro wrestle name. And you can follow me on Twitter at Sugar Ray Dodge. There you go.
And you can also email Dave.
That's right, Dave at trueblueriffcast.com. Send me all your fan mail and fan art.
And B memes.
Yes, and B memes. Because I don't get enough of those already.
We're all official now. We got like a real website and real email addresses, and we're up on Google Play Music and TuneIn Radio and Stitcher and every other platform pretty much that you can conceive of.
Also, check out rifftrax.com. They got lots of fun stuff.
Yeah. It's really late, so we're going to get out of here. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys later.